Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Nature Channel. Take a gentle breath in and let it out slowly, just like that. Tonight, we're going on a quiet journey together, exploring something truly special. The way nature holds us, the way it heals us without asking anything in return. You don't need to do anything right now except rest here with me, listening to these soft words about the gentle world outside your window. Nature as therapy. It's not a new idea, but it's one that whispers to us more clearly when we slow down enough to hear it. Let me tell you about the forest floor in early morning, when the world is still cool and the light comes through the leaves like filtered honey. Scientists have discovered something beautiful about this moment. When you walk barefoot on soil, your body actually exchanges electrons with the earth. It's called grounding, but you don't need to remember that word. What matters is this: your feet on soft moss, on warm sand, on cool grass. They're having a conversation with the ground beneath you, a conversation older than language itself. There's a reason you feel lighter after touching the earth. Your nervous system recognizes home. In Japan, they have a practice called Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing. Not bathing with water, but bathing in the presence of trees. When you walk slowly through a forest, the trees release compounds called phytoncides into the air. These invisible molecules, breathed in with each gentle inhale you take, actually boost your immune system. The trees are sharing their protection with you even when you don't realize it. Imagine that. The forest is medicine you breathe. But here's what touches me most about this. You don't have to understand the science for it to work. The trees don't check if you know their names. They simply give. Think about how a single tree stands in a meadow, its branches moving with wind you cannot see. That tree has been there through seasons you never witnessed, through storms and quiet dawns, through bird songs and snow. And when you sit beneath it, your breathing naturally slows to match the rhythm of its leaves. Your heart rate drops. Your shoulders soften. The tree asks for nothing. It simply shares its shade, its presence, its peace. There are studies now, careful, gentle studies, showing that people who spend just 20 minutes in nature experience measurable drops in cortisol, the stress hormone that tightens your jaw and quickens your pulse. 20 minutes, that's all. A short walk, a moment sitting on your back step, looking up at clouds. The sky doesn't charge you for this therapy. The wind doesn't send a bill. Let me tell you about water, because water knows things about healing that we're only beginning to understand. When you sit beside a stream, there's a reason your mind goes quiet. The sound of moving water creates what's called white noise, a consistent, gentle sound that helps your brain stop searching for threats. For thousands of years, water meant safety for our ancestors. A stream meant life, meant staying, meant rest. Your body still remembers this ancient truth. Even the sound of rain on a roof does something profound to your nervous system. It tells you you're safe inside, you're dry, you're protected. The world is being washed clean while you rest. Rain is permission to pause. I want you to think about the color green for a moment. Not any particular shade, just green. The green of leaves, of grass, of moss growing on old stone. Studies have shown that looking at the color green, especially natural green, reduces anxiety. It literally calms the part of your brain that worries and plans and fears. This is why hospital rooms with views of trees help patients heal faster. Why prisoners with windows facing gardens experience less stress. why you feel different after a walk in the park than after a walk through concrete streets. Green is not just a color. It's a frequency your soul recognizes. There's a forest in California where the coastal redwoods grow so tall they disappear into fog. These trees can live for 2,000 years. 2,000 years of breathing, of reaching, of standing. When you walk among them, you feel small, but not in a bad way. You feel held by something larger than your worries, older than your problems. The ancient trees remind you, this too shall pass. They've seen it all pass again and again, and they're still here, still growing, still green. And if you leave a like on this video, you're helping others find this peaceful space too. Just a thought. No pressure. Only if it feels right to you. Birds sing at dawn, not because they're trying to wake you, but because they're celebrating another day of being alive. That morning chorus, it starts before the sun rises. The birds don't wait for light to give thanks. They trust it's coming. When you hear birds singing, your brain registers safety because birds go quiet when danger is near. Their song is an all-clear signal, ancient and true. Even in cities, even in the smallest patch of green, birds find a way to sing. They're resilient teachers of joy. Consider the way sunlight feels on your face, warmth without weight. When sunlight touches your skin, your body begins producing vitamin D, yes. But something else happens too. Your brain releases serotonin, the chemical of contentment, of okayness, of peace. The sun is literally lifting your mood, molecule by molecule. On cloudy days, there's still healing in the light. That soft, diffused glow that makes the world look gentle. It's easier on your eyes, easier on your nervous system. Some people heal better in gentle light than in bright sunshine. Nature offers therapy for every temperament, every need. Let me tell you about the ocean now, and the rhythm it keeps. Waves come in, waves go out. Endless, reliable, certain. When you stand at the edge of the sea, your breathing unconsciously matches the waves. In and out, in and out. The ocean teaches you how to breathe again. There's salt in ocean air, microscopic particles that float on the breeze. When you breathe them in, they help your lungs work better, help you take deeper breaths. The ocean is medicine you inhale without thinking, without trying. Just standing there is enough. And the sound of waves, studies have shown it's one of the most calming sounds humans can hear. It activates the part of your brain associated with rest, with safety, with letting go. The ocean has been putting humans to sleep since before we had words for sleep. Flowers opening in morning light do so slowly, petal by petal, no rush. They don't apologize for taking their time. They don't force themselves to bloom faster than they're ready for. Watching flowers teaches you patience with yourself. Every flower is temporary. They bloom, they fade, they return next year. This isn't sad. It's the most honest thing in the world. Everything beautiful is temporary, and that's exactly what makes it precious. The flowers understand what we keep forgetting. Nothing lasts forever, so be here now. When you smell lavender, your brain waves actually change. They shift toward the patterns associated with relaxation, with meditation, with peace. One small purple flower, and your entire nervous system shifts gears. This is therapy that costs nothing but attention. Gardens have been used for healing for thousands of years. In medieval times, they called them physic gardens, places where the plants themselves were medicine. Monks grew them. Healers tended them. People walked through them when their hearts were heavy. We haven't changed as much as we think. We still need the garden. We still find ourselves there. Think about moss growing on the north side of a tree. It grows so slowly you'd never see it move, never catch it in the act of growing. But over months, over years, it creates something soft and green and alive. Moss teaches you that healing doesn't have to be fast to be real. You can check out our playlist anytime you need more of these gentle moments, by the way. It's there whenever you need to return to this peaceful space. Butterflies rest with their wings closed, saving their colors for flight. When they open, suddenly, unexpectedly, the world is brighter for a moment. You didn't know you needed that flash of orange, that glimpse of blue. Nature gives you beauty in small doses, perfectly timed. A single leaf falling from a tree doesn't make a sound you can hear, but if you watch it closely, you see it dance. It spirals, it catches air, it takes its time reaching the ground, as if the tree is reluctant to let it go, as if the leaf is reluctant to leave. Even endings can be graceful when nature shows you how. Grass grows back after it's cut. Forests regrow after fire. Rivers find new paths when the old ones are blocked. Nature is constantly demonstrating resilience, constantly showing you life continues, life adapts, life finds a way. You are nature too. You have this resilience inside you. When you lie in grass and look up at clouds, time does something strange. It slows down, or maybe you just stop measuring it. The clouds move at their own pace, forming shapes without trying, dissolving without regret. Clouds remind you that everything changes, and that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. The earth beneath you is always holding you, always supporting you, even when you forget it's there. Gravity isn't just physics. It's the planet's way of keeping you close, of not letting you drift away into the vast emptiness of space. You are held. Right now, even as you rest here, you are held. Let yourself feel that if you can. The morning dew on spider webs turns them into strings of tiny diamonds when the first light comes. Each droplet catches the sun and holds it for a moment, just for you to see. The spider doesn't know it's creating art. It's simply living, and beauty happens as a side effect. So much of nature's therapy works this way. Unintentional grace. There are trees that communicate through their roots, sharing nutrients with their neighbors, even with trees of different species. When one tree is struggling, others send help through an underground network of fungal threads. Scientists call it the Wood Wide Web, and it's been happening since long before we had internet, long before we had words for connection. The forest has always known about community, about supporting each other through difficult seasons. When you place your hand on the bark of an old tree, you're touching something that has weathered more storms than you can count, that has stood through more sunrises than you'll ever see. That bark is rough because it's strong, because it survived. Your own rough patches are proof of the same thing. You're still here, still standing. Honeybees visit flowers not just for nectar, but for something else too. They get dusted with pollen, which they carry back to their hive. This golden dust becomes food for their young, mixed with honey. One flower visit feeds an entire generation. One small act ripples outward in ways the bee never sees. Your small acts of self-care ripple outward too, touching parts of your life you might not notice. The wind doesn't move in straight lines. It curves around trees, flows over hills, spirals and eddies, and finds its path. When you stand in the wind and let it move through your hair, across your skin, you're feeling the air's journey from somewhere far away, carrying with it the scent of distant places. Wind connects everything. You're never as isolated as you feel. Let me tell you about the way snow falls when it's gentle, each flake drifting down in its own time, landing so softly you barely feel it. Snow quiets the world. It muffles sound. It invites you to slow down, to stay inside, to rest. Winter is nature's way of insisting on rest, even when we resist it. Under that snow, beneath the frozen ground, roots are still alive. Seeds are waiting. Life is not gone. It's simply resting, gathering strength for spring. You can't see this happening, but it's happening nonetheless. Some of your deepest growth happens in the seasons when nothing seems to be blooming. Mountains stand in the distance, blue and hazy, and they don't come to you. They wait. They've always waited. If you want to reach them, you walk toward them slowly, one step at a time, and they receive you when you arrive. Healing works this way too. It doesn't rush toward you. You move toward it, gently, in your own time. There are hot springs in the earth where water heated deep underground rises to the surface, creating pools of warmth in cold landscapes. For thousands of years, people have soaked in these waters, feeling their muscles unknot, their minds grow quiet. The earth offers comfort, even from its depths. Stones in a riverbed are smooth because water has touched them again and again, year after year. Each caress of the current wears away the rough edges until what remains is soft and rounded and pleasant to hold. Time and gentleness can smooth your sharp edges too. You don't have to force it. Just let the days flow over you. When you sit under the stars, you're looking at light that has traveled for years, sometimes centuries, to reach your eyes. Those photons began their journey before you were born, traveling through emptiness just to arrive at this moment when you happen to be looking up. You are part of something vast and patient and ongoing. If you feel moved to leave a comment about which part of nature brings you the most peace, I'd love to hear from you. Your words might bring comfort to someone else who reads them. Crickets sing at night in rhythm, a pulse that matches something deep in your chest. Their song is actually a call, a reaching out, a way of saying, "I'm here, are you there?" into the darkness. Even in the night, even in the quiet, life is calling to life. Ferns unfurl their fronds slowly, starting as tight spirals that gradually open to reveal the full leaf. This spiral pattern appears everywhere in nature, in seashells, in galaxies, in the curl of a wave. It's one of nature's favorite shapes, this gentle unfurling. You too are allowed to open slowly, to unfurl one small part of yourself at a time. A lake at dawn is often perfectly still, a mirror of the sky. At this hour, you can't tell where the water ends and the reflection begins. Everything blurs into one soft, quiet world. This is what peace feels like, when you can't tell where you end and the rest of the world begins. Willow trees grow near water, their long branches hanging down like green curtains. When the wind moves through them, they sway all together, a gentle flowing motion that seems almost liquid. Watch a willow long enough, and you remember how to bend instead of break. Acorns fall from oak trees every autumn, hundreds of them, thousands. Most will never become trees. They'll feed squirrels. They'll return to the soil. But a few, just a few, will take root and grow into oaks that live for centuries. You don't have to make every seed you plant become a forest. A few deep roots are enough. There's a phenomenon where trees at the edge of a forest grow fuller branches on their outer sides, reaching toward the open space, while their inner branches stay sparse. They grow toward the light, toward the open air, as if they're stretching toward freedom. You too can grow toward the light. You too can reach for what makes you feel more alive. Ants work together to carry things much larger than themselves, each one holding a small part of the load. They don't discuss it. They don't plan meetings. They simply know that together they can move what alone they couldn't budge. Your burdens don't have to be carried alone. Even asking for help is a kind of strength. When rain soaks into soil, it doesn't vanish. It travels down through layers of earth, filtering through sand and rock, becoming groundwater that feeds wells and springs. That rain you saw fall last week might emerge from the ground months from now, clear and clean. Nothing is wasted in nature. Even your difficult days are seeping down into something that will nourish you later. Moonlight is actually sunlight, reflected and softened, arriving at Earth in a gentler form. The moon doesn't create its own light. It borrows light from the sun and offers it to you in the darkness, just bright enough to see by, not so bright that you can't sleep. Sometimes the help you need comes in reflected form, gentler than you expected. Cedar trees have a scent that stays in their wood for decades. You can open a cedar chest that's 50 years old and still smell that warm, rich fragrance. The tree keeps giving long after it's been cut, long after it's been shaped into something new. The comfort you've received from nature stays with you too, even when you're far from forests and fields. The memory of peace is its own kind of peace. Tide pools along the ocean's edge are little worlds unto themselves, small ecosystems where starfish cling to rocks, where tiny fish dart between stones, where anemones wave their tentacles in the current. When the tide goes out, these pools remain, holding the ocean inside them until the water returns. You can hold peace inside you too, even when the world around you feels chaotic. You can be your own tide pool, your own small reserve of calm. Bamboo can grow 3 feet in a single day when conditions are right. But before that dramatic growth happens, the bamboo spends years developing its root system underground, spreading out, getting strong. The growth you can't see is often the most important growth of all. Our playlist has more of these quiet journeys waiting for you whenever you need them. Think of it as a garden you can return to any time. Pine cones close up when it's damp and open when it's dry, protecting their seeds until conditions are right for growing. They know, without thinking, when to hold tight and when to let go. Your body knows things too, even when your mind doesn't. Sometimes you just need to listen to what you already know. There's a softness to morning fog that makes the world feel smaller, safer. Everything beyond a certain distance disappears into white, and all that exists is what's immediately around you. This tree, this path, this moment. Fog teaches you that you don't have to see the whole journey. You just need to see the next few steps. Sunflowers turn their faces to follow the sun across the sky, a slow dance that happens so gradually you'd never notice unless you watched for hours. They're not straining or struggling. They're simply oriented toward light, the way a compass points north. You can orient yourself toward what feels good, what feels warm, what feels like growth. It's not selfish, it's natural. When lightning strikes sand, it sometimes creates glass, fulgurite, delicate tubes of fused minerals shaped by pure energy. Something intense and brief creates something beautiful and lasting. Your intense moments, your difficult times, they're creating something in you too, something that will last, something that catches light. Apple trees take years to bear fruit, and the first few years of apples are often small, not quite sweet. But the tree isn't failing. It's learning, growing stronger, figuring out how to make better apples. Your first attempts at healing don't have to be perfect. You're learning too. Geese fly in a V formation because it's easier that way. The bird in front breaks the wind, and everyone behind has an easier flight. They take turns being the leader, rotating when the front bird gets tired. Everyone needs to rest. Everyone gets a turn at the front and a turn at the back. This is how we survive long journeys. Evening light has a golden quality that morning light doesn't have. It's warmer, more amber, as if the day is giving you one last gift before it ends. Photographers call it the golden hour, but it's not really about photography. It's about how beautiful endings can be when you pay attention to them. A single dandelion can produce up to 2,000 seeds, each one attached to a tiny parachute of white fluff. When the wind comes, they scatter everywhere, traveling to places the parent plant will never see. What you create, what you put into the world, even the small things, they travel farther than you know. Hermit crabs find empty shells and make them home, moving to bigger shells as they grow. They don't build their own protection. They find what's already there and make it fit. It's okay to borrow strength sometimes, to use tools and help and structures that others have created. You don't have to build everything from scratch. River stones click together underwater, a soft percussion you can hear if you wade in and stand still. They're always moving, always tumbling, wearing each other smooth. Your rough edges are being smoothed by life. Every interaction, every day, you're being shaped into something more, yourself. If this feels peaceful to you, a like would help others find this calm too. Just a gentle click, nothing more. Maple trees produce sap in late winter when the day's warm, but the nights are still freezing. This movement of sap, this rising of sweetness from the roots, happens in the harshest time of year. Sometimes your sweetest resources rise up precisely when things feel hardest. Lichen grows on rocks and tree bark, a partnership between fungus and algae living as one organism. Neither could survive alone, but together they thrive in places where almost nothing else can grow. Partnership, real partnership, makes impossible things possible. Desert plants bloom after rain, sudden and vibrant, covering the sand with color. They wait for months, sometimes years, for the right conditions. And when the rain comes, they don't hesitate. They bloom with everything they have. You'll know when your right conditions arrive. And when they do, let yourself bloom fully. Stars appear to twinkle because you're looking at them through layers of moving air. The star itself is steady. It's the atmosphere between you and the star that creates the shimmer. When your piece feels unsteady, flickering, remember, the source of light is constant. It's just the layers between you and peace that are moving. Otters hold hands when they sleep, floating on their backs in the water so they don't drift apart in the current. They anchor themselves to each other. Who are your anchors? Who keeps you from drifting when you're too tired to hold your place? Aspen trees share a root system. Entire groves are actually one organism connected beneath the ground. When you look at an aspen forest, you're seeing one life expressing itself through many bodies. You're more connected to others than you realize. The boundaries between us are not as solid as they seem. Honey never spoils. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that's still perfectly edible. The bees create something that lasts, that nourishes, that doesn't decay. The love you've received, the kindness you've known, these don't spoil either. They last in you, still nourishing, still sweet. Owl feathers have soft edges that allow them to fly in silence. They move through the air without disturbing it, arriving without announcement. Peace often arrives this way too, quietly, when you're not demanding it, when you've stopped thrashing around trying to find it. A path through the woods is just the place where enough feet have walked that the grass gave up trying to grow. It's not planned, it's not designed, it's simply where people naturally walked over and over until the way became clear. Your way forward will become clear too, just by walking it, one step at a time. Frost forms on windows in patterns that look like ferns, like feathers, like whole gardens made of ice. These patterns appear because of tiny imperfections in the glass. The frost follows the flaws and makes them beautiful. Your imperfections are not failures. They're the places where beauty knows how to grow. Chestnuts fall from trees in spiky cases that protect the smooth nut inside. The outside is all defense, all sharp points. But crack it open, and the inside is soft, nourishing, meant to grow into something tall and strong. What you protect so fiercely inside you, that's the part meant to grow. Rivers carve canyons not through force, but through persistence. Water moving over stone day after day, year after year, wearing away what seems solid, creating vast spaces where there was once only rock. Your gentle persistence matters more than you know. You don't have to be forceful to change your landscape. There's a moment in spring when you can almost hear the earth waking up. Not literally hear it, but sense it. Something shifts in the air, in the light, in the way the world feels when you step outside. Your own seasons change this way too. Sometimes you just sense it before you see it. The shift, the thaw, the returning warmth. Cherry blossoms bloom for only a week or two each year, and entire cultures gather to watch them, to celebrate them, to sit beneath them in quiet appreciation. Everyone knows the flowers will fall. That's what makes them so precious. Impermanence doesn't make something less valuable. Sometimes it makes it more so. Mushrooms can appear overnight after rain, pushing up through soil or sprouting from logs. They've been there all along, actually. The mushroom you see is just the fruit of a vast network of mycelium underground. What looks sudden has been growing in the dark for a long time. Your breakthroughs are like this too. They seem sudden, but they're the result of work you've been doing all along, even when you couldn't see progress. The sound of leaves rustling is actually thousands of tiny movements happening at once, each leaf responding to wind in its own way. Together, they create a sound like water, like whispering, like the earth breathing. You're part of a larger rustling too. Your small movements matter to the whole. Glaciers move so slowly you can't see it happening, but they reshape entire valleys, carve out lakes, move stones the size of houses. Slow doesn't mean powerless. Your slow healing is still reshaping you. Be patient with the pace. Hummingbirds need to eat every 10 to 15 minutes, all day long, because they burn energy so quickly. They're not greedy. They simply need constant nourishment to keep flying. If you need frequent rest, frequent comfort, frequent reassurance, that's not weakness. That's knowing what you need to keep going. Take a moment, if you'd like, to leave a comment about what brought you here today. Sometimes naming what we're feeling helps us understand it better. Desert cacti store water in their thick stems, saving it for the dry times they know are coming. They don't apologize for being so well defended, for having spines that keep others at a distance. Your boundaries are not unkind. They're how you preserve what you need to survive. The northern lights appear when particles from the sun interact with Earth's magnetic field, creating curtains of green and pink light that dance across the polar sky. It's a kind of conversation between Earth and sun, made visible, made beautiful. Your difficult experiences interacting with your resilience, that creates light too. Maybe not light others can see, but light nonetheless. Fir trees keep their needles all winter, staying green when everything else is bare. They don't lose themselves in the cold season. They remain who they are, steady and unchanged. You don't have to become someone else to survive difficult times. You can stay essentially yourself, green inside, even when everything around you has gone gray. Pebbles on a beach are sorted by the waves. Larger stones stay higher up where the strongest waves toss them. Smaller stones settle lower where the water is gentler. Everything finds its level. You'll find yours too. Let the waves of life sort you into the place where you fit best. When you look into a clear stream, you can see all the way to the bottom. Every stone, every fish, every water plant. The water is there, you're looking through it, but it's so clear it becomes almost invisible. Your best days might feel this way. You're so immersed in the moment that you forget to notice you're happy. You're just there, clear, present, alive. Coral reefs grow in warm, shallow water where sunlight can reach them. They build up slowly, year by year, creating structures that become home to thousands of other creatures. What you're building in yourself, even slowly, even in small ways, it will become a home for other good things. One thing supports another. Moths are drawn to moonlight naturally, but they mistake our artificial lights for the moon and circle them endlessly. They're not stupid. They're following an instinct that usually keeps them oriented, usually keeps them safe. Sometimes what worked before doesn't work now. Be gentle with yourself when your old ways of finding direction don't quite fit anymore. Rain in a forest sounds different than rain on pavement. In the forest, it's softened by leaves, absorbed by soil, muffled by moss. The same rain, but received differently, becomes a different experience entirely. How you receive your experiences changes them. Soft reception makes even hard things a little gentler. Dragonflies can fly in any direction, forward, backward, sideways, up, down. They're not limited to one way of moving. They navigate three-dimensionally with complete freedom. Your path forward doesn't have to be a straight line. Sometimes you need to move sideways for a while. Sometimes backward is actually progress. A seed contains everything it needs to become a tree. The blueprint, the first bit of energy, the determination encoded in its cells. It just needs the right conditions: soil, water, light, time. You contain what you need too. You're not missing some essential piece. You just need the right conditions, and those can be created. Check our playlist when you need more of this piece. It's growing longer, like a garden we're tending together. Beaches change shape with every tide, every storm. The sand you walked on yesterday might be underwater today, or piled higher, or scattered down the shore. Nothing stays the same, not even the ground beneath your feet. This is not a problem. This is the nature of things. Eagles ride thermal currents, spiraling upward on columns of warm air without flapping their wings. They work with the invisible forces around them rather than fighting through the sky on their own power. You can work with the forces around you too. You can find the currents that lift you and let them carry you higher. Snowflakes form around a tiny piece of dust or pollen in the clouds, water freezing in layers around this microscopic core. Something small and ordinary becomes the heart of something intricate and beautiful. Your small beginnings don't determine your final form. Something simple can become something extraordinary, given the right conditions. Tree rings tell the story of a tree's life. Thick rings for good years when water was plentiful. Thin rings for drought years when growth was hard. The tree doesn't hide its difficult years. They're part of the pattern, part of the whole. Your difficult times are written into you too, and they're not mistakes. They're part of your pattern, part of what makes you whole. Caves form in limestone when slightly acidic water dissolves the rock, drop by drop, creating vast hollow spaces over thousands of years. Impossibly slow, utterly patient. The space you need is being created in you too, slowly, by experiences that seem to take forever, but are actually carving out room for you to breathe. Salmon swim upstream against the current to return to the place they were born. It's exhausting. It's programmed into them so deeply they can't not do it. They're going home. Your desire to return to yourself, to find your way back to who you really are, that's not stubbornness. That's instinct. That's the deepest kind of wisdom. Coconuts can float in the ocean for months, traveling thousands of miles, and still sprout when they wash ashore. The salt water doesn't kill them. The long journey doesn't break them. They arrive ready to grow. You can travel through hard things and still be viable, still be ready to grow when you finally reach shore. When you breathe slowly and deeply, your vagus nerve, the main nerve of your parasympathetic nervous system, activates. This tells your body, we're safe now. We can rest now. It's okay to let go. Your breath is a tool you carry with you always, a way to tell your body you're safe even when your mind hasn't caught up yet. If you found a moment of peace here, would you share this with someone who might need it too? Sometimes we're the ones who lead others to the water. Rainbows require 3 things to appear: sun, rain, and an observer positioned just right between them. All 3 must come together. You can't force a rainbow. You can only be there when the conditions align. Some beautiful things can't be made to happen. They can only be witnessed when you're in the right place at the right time. Whales sing songs that travel hundreds of miles through the ocean, low frequencies that move through water like music through air. Other whales hear these songs and know they're not alone. Your voice matters too. When you speak your truth, when you share your experience, someone far away might hear it and feel less alone. Birch bark peels in thin layers like paper, revealing fresh bark underneath. The tree sheds its old surface without ceremony, without announcement. What's underneath was already there, just waiting to be revealed. You're not becoming someone new. You're revealing who you already are. Desert tortoises can live for 80 years or more in one of the harshest environments on Earth. They dig burrows to escape the heat, conserve water in their bodies, eat when food is available, and wait patiently when it's not. Survival is possible even in harsh conditions. Sometimes it's just about knowing when to retreat, when to conserve, when to wait. When ice melts, it doesn't turn into something else. It becomes itself in a different form. Still water, still H2O, just moving differently, taking up space differently. Your transformations don't erase who you were. They're just you in a new form, still essentially yourself. Redwood forests have a smell, earthy, green, ancient. It's caused by compounds in the bark and needles, but it smells like time itself, like the forest breathing. Certain smells can transport you instantly to a feeling of safety. Maybe it's pine. Maybe it's rain on concrete. Maybe it's the smell of soil after you've been digging in the garden. These are anchors you can return to. Gravity is constant, reliable, always pulling you toward the Earth's center. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to earn it. It simply holds you, always. Some things in life are this reliable too. The earth beneath you, the sky above you, the fact that morning comes. You are held by forces larger than your worry. Spiders create webs with a combination of sticky silk and non-sticky silk. They know which strands are which and walk only on the safe ones. The web that catches prey doesn't catch the spider. You can create boundaries that protect you without trapping you. You can build structures that serve you. Frost forms patterns on windows because water vapor freezes directly from gas to solid, skipping the liquid phase entirely. This direct transformation creates delicate, branching crystals. Sometimes you skip the messy middle phase too. Sometimes you go from one state to another without the transition you expected. That's okay. There's more than one way to change. Our playlist is here whenever you need it. A collection of moments like this, waiting quietly for you. Pine cones have seeds tucked under their scales, protected until the cone dries out and the scales open. Fire can trigger this opening too. Sometimes what seems destructive is actually part of the design, part of releasing what's next. Your breaking open might be how your next self gets free. Pearls form when an irritant gets inside an oyster shell. The oyster coats it, layer by layer, with nacre, the same substance that lines its shell. The irritant becomes smooth, beautiful, valuable. What's irritating you might be becoming something precious. You just can't see it yet because it's still being coated, still being transformed. Fog rolls in from the ocean in banks like slow-moving clouds. It doesn't rush, it simply arrives, soft and gray and cooling, changing everything without force. Change doesn't have to be violent to be complete. Sometimes it just drifts in gently and transforms everything it touches. Bees dance to communicate. They do a waggle dance that tells other bees where flowers are, how far away, what direction. They turn information into movement, into something their whole body expresses. Your body communicates too. When you feel tight in your chest, when your shoulders rise towards your ears, that's information. That's your body dancing its own truth, trying to tell you something. Icicles form drip by drip, each drop freezing before the next one falls. What looks solid and permanent is actually a record of many small moments, each one building on the last. You're building yourself this way too, one moment, one choice, one breath at a time. It doesn't feel like much in any single moment, but look what you're creating. Tide comes in twice a day, reliable as clockwork, pulled by the moon's gravity. Fishers and sailors have lived by this rhythm for thousands of years. You can depend on it. There are rhythms in your life too, reliable things that return. The sun rises, your body breathes, seasons turn. When everything feels chaotic, these rhythms remain. Cedar waxwings are birds that sometimes get drunk on fermented berries, flying erratically, landing clumsily. Even birds have moments of being out of control, of not quite managing their normal grace. Your ungraceful days don't mean you've lost your ability to fly. They're just part of being alive. Lichens can survive in outer space. Scientists have tested this. These tiny organisms can endure radiation, extreme cold, lack of air. They're incredibly resilient, incredibly patient. You have resilience you haven't discovered yet. You have survival skills you didn't know you'd need and won't know you have until you use them. When clouds are thin, you can see the sun through them, not the full brightness, but a softer glow. The clouds don't erase the sun. They just filter it, make it easier to look at. Your defenses, your ways of protecting yourself, they're not blocking out all light. They're filtering it, making it manageable. If this brings you comfort, a like helps us share this comfort with others. That's all. Just a small way of passing peace along. Bamboo forests sway in the wind altogether, thousands of stalks bending in unison. They're rooted separately, but move as one, creating a sound like soft rain. When you move with rather than against the forces in your life, there's a grace to it, a music. Starfish can regrow lost arms. If a predator grabs an arm, the starfish releases it and escapes. Later, over time, the arm grows back. The loss is real, but not permanent. What you've lost might not return in the same form, but something can grow back. You have this regenerative capacity. Driftwood is wood that's been shaped by water and time, smoothed of all its bark and rough edges. It's lighter than it was, more graceful, marked by its journey. Your journey is marking you too, shaping you, wearing away what was never essential anyway. Migrating butterflies sometimes travel thousands of miles to reach a forest they've never seen, following a map written into their biology. They trust this inner knowing even though the journey is long, and they're so delicate. You have inner knowing too. That pull toward what's right for you, that's real. That's worth trusting even when the journey feels long. The space between tree branches is not empty. It's full of air, light, birdsong, possibilities. The gaps are not failures of the tree. They're where the sky comes in. The gaps in your life, the spaces where you hoped something would be. They're not just empty. Look closely. There's light coming through. Soil is alive, full of microorganisms, fungal networks, tiny insects. What looks like dirt is actually a bustling community, constantly breaking down the old and building the new. Even in your fallow times, when you feel like nothing is growing, there's activity beneath the surface. Things are breaking down, becoming soil for what's next. Still water reflects like a mirror, but moving water catches light in 1,000 different ways, sparkling and shifting. Both are beautiful. Both are water being itself. In your stillness and in your movement, you're being yourself. Neither is better. Both are needed. A forest fire, when it's not too hot, can actually help certain trees. Some pine cones only open and release their seeds when heated by fire. Destruction and renewal are woven together. What burned down in your life might be making space for seeds that couldn't open any other way. Somewhere in our playlist, there might be another journey that speaks to exactly what you need today. Feel free to explore when you're ready. Shadows move across the ground as the sun travels across the sky. A slow dance you rarely stop to watch, but it's always happening. This movement, this change of light and dark. Change is always happening in you too, even when you can't feel it, even when it seems like you're stuck in place. Jellyfish pulse through water, opening and closing, a rhythm like breathing. They've been doing this for over 500 million years, longer than almost any other creature. Simple, ancient, persistent. Sometimes the simplest rhythms are the most enduring. Breathe in, breathe out. That's enough. Eagles mate for life and return to the same nest year after year, adding to it, making it bigger. Some eagle nests weigh thousands of pounds, built up over decades. What you return to, what you build on, it becomes massive over time. Your practice of finding peace, even if it seems small now, compounds. Frost on grass melts from the top down when the sun rises, each blade releasing tiny droplets that catch the light. What was frozen becomes liquid, becomes vapor, rises into air. You move through states too. What feels frozen in you now will melt when the right warmth arrives. Nothing stays frozen forever. There are springs in the earth where water emerges cold and clear, filtered through layers of stone. This water fell as rain somewhere far away, sometime long ago, and has been traveling underground ever since. What's emerging in your life now might have started its journey long ago. The timing is perfect, even when it doesn't feel that way. Monarch butterflies weigh less than a penny, but fly thousands of miles to reach their winter home. They're so light, so fragile looking, but they have this extraordinary capacity for the long journey. Don't underestimate yourself just because you feel fragile. Fragile things can be remarkably strong. Moon jellies are 95% water, barely more substantial than the ocean they drift through. They have no brain, no heart, but they survive, they move, they continue. You don't have to be solid to be real. You don't have to be complicated to be whole. When wolves howl, they're not just making noise. They're communicating location, strengthening bonds, defining territory. Each howl means something, does something, connects them to their pack. Your expressions of how you feel, you're reaching out. These matter. They're not just noise, they're connection. If you're feeling a sense of calm settling in, maybe you'd like to share a thought in the comments. Your words create connection too. Forget-me-nots have tiny blue flowers that grow in clusters, each flower so small you might miss it. But together, they create patches of sky blue along streams and in damp places. Your small efforts, your small kindnesses to yourself, they add up to something larger than you realize. Sequoia trees can live for 3,000 years. Think of everything that happens in 3,000 years. Empires rise and fall, languages are born and die, and the tree just keeps growing slowly, patiently, doing what trees do. Time is longer than your worry. Your moment of difficulty is not your whole story. The story is so much longer. Rain barrels collect water from roofs, saving it for dry days. What falls freely and abundantly during the wet season becomes precious during drought. The good you experience now, let it fill you up. Save some of it. You'll draw on it later when you need it. Thunder is just the sound of lightning heating the air so fast it expands explosively. The light and the sound are the same event, just arriving at your senses at different speeds. Sometimes understanding comes first and feeling follows. Sometimes feeling comes first and understanding later. They're both part of the same event. Clover grows low to the ground, surviving where taller plants might be torn by wind or crushed by footsteps. It's soft, it's humble, but it fixes nitrogen in the soil, making the earth richer for everything else growing there. Staying low, staying quiet. That can be a strategy for survival. And while you're surviving, you're also enriching the soil of your own life. Sand dollars are actually living creatures, flat sea urchins that burrow into sand. After they die, their white skeletons wash up on shore, beautiful and symmetrical. What remains of difficult experiences can be beautiful too. Not the experience itself, but what it leaves behind, the pattern, the shape, the proof that you lived through it. Geese honk while flying in formation, constantly communicating, encouraging the ones who are working hardest at the front. The noise isn't random, it's support. When you speak up about your struggles, when you cheer on others in theirs, you're doing this too. You're honking. You're saying, I'm here, keep going, you're not alone. A glacier's movement carves valleys in solid rock, shapes entire landscapes. All that power, all that transformation, and it moves so slowly you could never see it happening. You're more powerful than you feel. Your slow movement through difficult terrain is carving something, shaping something, even though you can't see it happening. Our playlist keeps growing with more of these peaceful moments. It's there whenever you need to come back to this feeling. Rivers always flow downhill, finding the path of least resistance, going around obstacles rather than through them. They don't fight. They find the way that works. You can flow around some obstacles too. You don't have to crash through everything that stands in your way. Fireflies produce light through a chemical reaction in their bodies. Bioluminescence with almost no heat. Cool light, gentle light, just enough to signal to each other in the dark. Your light doesn't have to be bright to be seen. Your gentle illumination is enough. When you skip a stone across water, it touches down multiple times before it sinks, each touch lighter than the last. The stone isn't failing when it finally sinks. It did what it could. It skipped. Your energy will eventually run out. That's not failure. That's having given what you had to give. And then you rest. Moss holds moisture in the forest, creating microclimates where tiny insects and spores can survive. It's doing its small part in a vast web of relationships. Your small part matters too. You don't have to solve everything. Just do your small part and trust that it connects to everything else. Beech trees have smooth gray bark that people often carve their initials into, leaving marks that last for years. The tree doesn't die from this. It grows around the wound, incorporates it, continues. You incorporate your wounds too. They become part of your story, part of your trunk, but they don't stop you from growing. Clouds are made of tiny water droplets so small they float, suspended by air currents. Millions of these droplets together create something you can see from miles away, something that changes the color of the sky. your small efforts, your tiny changes. Together, they create something visible, something that changes your whole atmosphere. Earthworms tunnel through soil, creating channels for air and water. They're so humble, so hidden, but they're essential. They make the ground alive, make it capable of growing things. The work you do on yourself that no one sees, that's essential too. That's what makes growth possible. There's a moment just after sunset called the blue hour when the sky turns deep indigo before it goes fully dark. It's brief and beautiful, a transition between day and night. Your transitions are beautiful too. You don't have to rush through them. You can linger in the blue hour, in the in-between. When snow melts in mountains, it becomes streams, then rivers, then eventually reaches the ocean. But the journey is so long that the water changes. It picks up minerals, it feeds plants, it shapes stone. Your journey changes you too. Who you'll be when you reach your destination will be different from who you were when you started, and that's exactly right. If a moment here made you smile, made you breathe easier, would you let us know with a like? It's a small thing, but it helps. Hermit thrushes sing the most ethereal songs, each phrase rising and falling like a question and answer. People describe it as spiritual, as the sound of the forest's soul. Music, birdsong, wind and leaves, these aren't decorations. They're conversations, expressions, life speaking in the language it knows best. Frost forms patterns that are never repeated. Each window's frost is unique. Each morning's frozen grass creates patterns that will never exist again. This moment is unrepeatable too. This exact configuration of your life, your thoughts, your breathing, it will never be exactly like this again. That makes it precious. Salt preserves things. It's been used for thousands of years to keep food from spoiling. The ocean is salty, and it preserves too. Shells, bones, whole ships sometimes. What has been hard in your life might be preserving something important in you. Sometimes the harsh conditions are what keep certain truths intact. Apple blossoms appear in spring, delicate and pink and fragrant. Most of them won't become apples. They'll fall. They'll fertilize the ground. But enough will become fruit to feed what needs feeding. Not everything you try needs to succeed. Most attempts are practice, are fertilizer. The few that fruit are enough. Crickets chirp faster when it's warmer, slower when it's cool. You can actually estimate the temperature by counting cricket chirps. They're tiny thermometers, tiny markers of the world's temperature. You're sensitive to your environment too. How you feel is information. It's not wrong. It's response. It's you sensing the temperature of your world. When mist rises from a lake in early morning, it's water returning to the air, evaporating in the cool dawn. It looks like the lake is breathing, like it's alive. Everything is alive in its own way. Even still things have processes, have movements too slow or small to see. The world is less solid than it appears. Cattails grow in wetlands, their brown heads full of thousands of tiny seeds. When the head breaks apart, the seeds float away on the wind like snow. What you've been holding together might need to break apart. The seeds inside need to scatter to find their own places to grow. Explore our playlist when you need more of this. It's like a garden of peaceful moments, always there, always growing. Sand dunes move across deserts over years, driven by wind, grain by grain. They're solid enough to climb, but fluid enough to migrate. You can be both grounded and changing, both here and moving, both yourself and becoming. Maple leaves turn red in autumn because the chlorophyll breaks down, revealing the red pigments that were there all along, hidden by the green. What emerges in you during difficult times was there all along. It's not new. You're not becoming someone else. You're revealing what was always there. Coral polyps are tiny animals that build reefs together, each one adding its bit of calcium carbonate to the structure. One polyp is almost nothing. 1,000,000 polyps create islands. Your efforts compound. Your days add up. What seems too small to matter is building something much larger. Redwood roots are surprisingly shallow, but they spread wide and interlock with neighboring trees. They hold each other up. No single tree could stand alone, but together they can withstand any storm. You're not meant to stand alone. Interlocking with others isn't weakness. It's how the strongest things survive. Morning glories open with the sun and close in the afternoon, living their whole bloom in the space of a few hours. They don't try to stay open longer than they're meant to. You're allowed to have limits. You're allowed to close when you need rest, even if it means being unavailable, even if it means someone might miss your bloom. When leaves fall into streams, they become food for insects, which become food for fish, which become food for bears. Nothing is wasted. Everything serves. Your difficult experiences serve too, even if you can't see how yet. They're becoming something, feeding something, part of a cycle larger than you can trace. Swallows build nests from mud and grass, making thousands of trips to gather materials, carrying tiny beakfuls back to shape into home. Persistence and tiny effort, repeated endlessly, creates shelter. The small things you do every day, the way you talk to yourself, the way you choose to rest, the way you set small boundaries, these are building your shelter too. Ice expands when it forms, which is why it floats and why it can crack stone. This property of water, that its solid form is less dense than its liquid form, is unusual and essential to life. Your expansions, even when they break things, even when they're uncomfortable, might be essential to your life. Growing often means breaking what contained you before. There's a kind of mushroom that glows in the dark, bioluminescent fungi that emit a soft green light. In some forests, decaying wood glows with this light at night. Even decay can be beautiful. Even what's breaking down can illuminate. A like on this video would mean a lot. It helps the algorithm share this piece with people who need it. Just if you feel like it, of course. Ponds freeze from the top down, creating a layer of ice that insulates the water below, keeping fish alive through winter. What looks frozen and dead is protecting life underneath. Your frozen periods protect something too. When you shut down, when you go numb, you might be protecting something alive that needs to survive until spring. Spider webs catch dew in the morning, each strand holding dozens of tiny droplets. The web becomes visible, becomes art, becomes something more than just a tool. Your structure, your patterns, your way of being in the world. When the light hits it right, it's beautiful. Not just functional, beautiful. Willows can grow from a broken branch stuck in mud. They're so eager to live that almost any piece of them can become a whole new tree. You have this in you too, this capacity to root anywhere, to start over from just a fragment of yourself. Stars are born in clouds of gas and dust called nebulae. They collapse under their own gravity, getting hotter and denser until nuclear fusion ignites. From chaos and pressure, light is born. Your pressure, your density, your collapse into yourself. Something might be igniting in there, something that will burn for years. Deer paths through forests are barely visible, just slight depressions where hooves have stepped over and over. They use the same paths for generations, walking where their ancestors walked. You walk paths laid down by those who came before you too. Your struggles are not unique. Others have walked this way. The path exists because of them. Ants leave pheromone trails so others can find food sources. One ant discovers something, and soon there's a highway of ants, all sharing the find. When you share what helps you, you create a trail for others. Your recovery, your peace, your small victories, they help others find the way. Hickory trees produce nuts that feed squirrels, which bury some and forget them, which become new hickory trees. The tree feeds the squirrel plants the tree. Neither one trying to help the other, but both benefiting. Your unintentional impacts matter too. What you do for yourself often serves others in ways you'll never know about. Check our playlist for more of these quiet journeys, each one a little different, all of them gentle. Rain that falls on one side of a mountain ridge might flow to the Pacific, while rain on the other side flows to the Atlantic. A few feet of difference determines an entirely different journey. Small differences in where you are or what you choose can lead to completely different outcomes. Don't underestimate the importance of small distinctions. Butterflies taste with their feet, sensing what plant they're landing on through contact. They're gathering information constantly through touch. You gather information through touch too, through feeling. Your emotions are sense data, telling you about your environment. Otters have the thickest fur of any animal, up to 1 million hairs per square inch. They need this because they don't have blubber. What looks soft is actually serious insulation. Your softness might be protective too. Sensitivity isn't weakness. It's a different kind of armor. The moon orbits Earth. Earth orbits the sun orbits the center of the galaxy. Everything is in motion, even what seems still. Even solid ground is hurtling through space. Your stillness is relative too. You're always moving, always changing, even when you feel stuck. You're on a planet that's spinning and orbiting and traveling through space. You're in motion right now. Glacial ice is blue because it's so dense it absorbs all colors except blue. The denser it gets, the more purely blue it becomes. Compression creates clarity. Your compressed times when you feel pressed down, condensed. They might be clarifying something in you, making something more purely itself. Honeybees communicate through dance and through smell, through the angle of their waggling, and through pheromones. They have multiple languages happening at once. You communicate in multiple ways too, even when you don't realize it. Your body language, your tone, your choices, all of these say something true about what you need. When a tree is cut down, you can count its rings to know its age. Each ring is 1 year, the light part from spring growth, the dark part from slower summer growth. You have rings too, invisible ones. Each year has marked you. Your age is not just a number. It's accumulated experience, layer after layer of having lived. Fog clings to valleys because cold air sinks and warm air rises. The fog isn't lost. It knows where it belongs, and it settles there naturally. You'll find where you belong too. You'll settle into the places that fit your particular temperature, your particular density. Trust this. If this is helping you unwind, a like would help others find their way here too. Just a small gesture of passing it forward. Brooks babble over stones, a constant sound that masks other noises. People record this sound, play it to help them sleep, because it's white noise that feels natural, organic. The constant small movements in your life, your daily routines, your habitual kindnesses to yourself, they create a background hum that drowns out harsher sounds. Sycamore trees shed their bark in patches, creating a camouflage pattern of brown, green, and white. They're constantly renewing their outer surface, constantly becoming fresh. You shed old versions of yourself too. The you from last year is gone. That's not loss, that's renewal. Rainwater is soft because it hasn't picked up minerals yet. When it falls, it's almost pure, almost nothing but H2O. Your fresh starts are soft too. They haven't hardened yet. They haven't accumulated the minerals of experience. There's something precious about beginning soft. When geese fly in formation, the ones behind honk to encourage the leader. It's not criticism, it's support. Keep going. We're with you. You're doing great. The voices behind you can be support, not pressure. Sometimes what sounds like demands is actually encouragement, if you listen differently. Fireflies synchronize their flashing in some places. Thousands of them blinking on and off together. No leader, no plan. They just sense each other and fall into rhythm. You can fall into rhythm with the world around you too, with the seasons, with your own body's signals. It doesn't take force, just attention. Basil releases its oils when you touch it or cut it, filling the air with a distinct scent. The plant gives this away freely, its essence, its particular perfume. What's most essentially you comes out when you're handled, when life touches you. It's not something you can fake or force. It just emerges. Stalactites grow from cave ceilings, one drop at a time, depositing minerals. They grow about an inch every 100 years, patience measured in centuries. Some growth is this slow, so slow that a human lifetime isn't long enough to see much change, but the change is happening nonetheless. Our playlist is here for you. More stories, more gentle facts, more moments to rest in. Visit whenever you need this feeling. Frost flowers form on thin ice on lakes or ocean. Delicate ice structures that look like flowers blooming on the surface. They last only a few hours before the sun melts them. Some beautiful things in your life will be brief too. That doesn't make them less real, less worth witnessing. Dolphins sleep with half their brain at a time, one hemisphere awake, to remind them to breathe, to keep swimming. They're never fully unconscious. Part of you is always watching, always maintaining basic functions, even when you feel like you're falling apart. Some deep part of you knows how to keep breathing. Ravens mate for life and can live over 20 years in the wild. They play games in the air, tumbling and diving, just for the joy of it. Intelligence and playfulness go together. You're allowed to play too. Being smart, being aware, doesn't mean you have to be serious all the time. Tide pools get refreshed twice a day. When a tide comes back in, what was isolated becomes connected again. What was drying out gets renewed. Your isolation is temporary. Connection returns, refresh comes. The tide always comes back in. Cherry tree roots spread wide but shallow, preferring to reach out rather than dig deep. Different trees have different strategies and both work. You don't have to dig deep all the time. Sometimes spreading wide connecting with more things on the surface is exactly the right strategy. Steam rises from hot springs because the water is heated by the Earth's core, by magma far below. That warmth comes from the deepest part of the planet. Your deepest warmth is still there too, even when your surface is cold. It's just further down than you can easily reach right now. When light passes through a prism, it separates into colors. The rainbow was always in the white light, just hidden, waiting to be revealed. What seems simple in you contains multitudes. You're more complex, more colorful than you appear, even to yourself. Snails create their shells as they grow, spiraling outward in a pattern determined by mathematics they don't know they're following. They just grow, and the beauty happens naturally. You don't have to plan every detail. You just have to grow, and the pattern will emerge. Wind carries seeds from dandelions, from maple trees, from milkweed, each seed with its own parachute or wing designed to catch air. The parent plant lets go, and the wind decides where the seeds land. What you release into the world will land where it needs to land. You don't have to control the whole journey. If you've been here with me for a while now, maybe you'd like to leave a comment about what you're feeling. Sometimes naming it helps. Boulders and streams create pools behind them, calmer water where fish can rest out of the current. The obstacle itself creates the place of rest. What's blocking you might be creating a space for rest too. Look behind the boulder. Maybe there's calm water there. Morning dew forms on cool surfaces when the air holds more moisture than the surface can, and the water condenses out of the air into visible drops. What's invisible in your life, the support, the love, the resilience, it condenses into visible form under the right conditions. It becomes something you can touch, can see. Pine needles fall and create a soft carpet on the forest floor, acidic and aromatic. They change the soil chemistry, making it possible for certain plants to grow and difficult for others. What you shed changes the environment around you. Your past experiences alter the soil of your life, determining what can grow there now. Lightning heats the air to 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun just for a fraction of a second. Intense and brief and transformative. Your intense moments are like this too. Brief, but hot enough to change things permanently. Mushrooms fruit when conditions are right. Temperature, moisture, the right kind of decay. Before that, they're invisible, waiting, a network underground. Your fruiting will happen when conditions are right. What looks like nothing happening is actually preparation. Each snowflake falls at its own speed, depending on its shape and weight. The more complex the crystal, the slower it falls, more air resistance. Your complexity might slow you down, but it's also what makes you beautiful. Simple things fall straight down. Complex things dance. Moonlight on snow creates an eerie brightness, enough to walk by. The snow reflects what little light there is, amplifies it, shares it. You can amplify small amounts of light too. You don't need a lot to make your way forward. You just need to reflect what little you have. Feel free to explore our playlist. There are more gentle journeys there, waiting for whenever you need them. Swans mate for life and grieve when their partner dies, sometimes dying shortly after from what looks like heartbreak. They're capable of profound bond. Your capacity for connection is profound too. When you love deeply. This isn't weakness. This is the full force of your nature. Salt crystals form in geometric patterns, cubes mostly, because of the way sodium and chloride ions arrange themselves. Order emerging from solution. Order will emerge from your confusion too. Give it time. Give it the right conditions. Let the water evaporate. Acorns contain tannins that make them bitter, but squirrels bury them, and the rain leaches the tannins out, making them edible by spring. Time and water cure the bitterness. What's bitter in you now might be cured by time too, by exposure, by being buried and forgotten, and then discovered again, transformed. Rivers carve the deepest canyons, not where the rock is softest, but where the river runs for the longest time. Duration matters more than intensity. Your steady efforts over time matter more than occasional intense pushes. The river doesn't rest, but it doesn't rush either. It just keeps flowing. Sunset colors are more vivid when there's dust or pollution in the air. The particles scatter light, creating those dramatic oranges and purples. Beauty from imperfection. Your imperfect conditions create their own kind of beauty too. The very things you think mar your life might be scattering light in ways you don't appreciate yet. Tree hollows form from decay or damage, but they become homes for owls, squirrels, bees. What was lost becomes shelter for something else. Your losses create space for new things to live in you. The hollow places aren't just empty, they're available. Glaciers calve icebergs at their edges, huge chunks breaking off and floating away. It looks like loss, but it's actually the glacier's way of staying balanced, staying viable. What breaks off from you might need to break off. It might be how you stay balanced. When you wade into a stream, you can feel the current pushing against your legs, constant pressure, but you can stand there. You can stay. Life's current pushes against you, but you're stronger than you think. You can stay standing in the flow. Would you share this with someone who might need it? Sometimes we're the bridge between someone and the peace they're looking for. Moths have furry bodies to keep warm at night when they're flying and the air is cold. What looks decorative is actually functional. Your softness serves you too, your sensitivity, your tenderness. These aren't flaws, they're adaptations. When a river floods, it deposits nutrient-rich sediment across the floodplain, making the soil fertile. What seems like destruction is actually enrichment. Your overwhelming times might be depositing something too, making you more fertile, more capable of growing things later. Oak leaves often stay on the tree through winter, brown and dry, but clinging on. They're called marcescent leaves, and they finally fall in spring when new buds push them off. Some things you need to keep holding until you're ready to let go, until something new is actually pushing through. Sea glass is made from broken bottles, tumbled by waves and sand, until all the sharp edges are gone and the glass is frosted, beautiful, completely transformed. Your broken pieces are being tumbled too. The sharp edges are being worn away. You're becoming sea glass, still recognizably glass, but softer, safer, more beautiful. Dew evaporates in morning sun, rising invisibly back into the air. What was visible becomes invisible again, but doesn't cease to exist. Parts of you that seem to disappear are just changing form. They're still there. They're just in the air now, instead of on the grass. Crocus flowers push through snow, bloom in near-freezing temperatures. Don't wait for perfect conditions. They're small, but determined. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions either. You can grow in the cold. You can bloom in less than ideal circumstances. Bats use echolocation, sending out sounds and listening for how they bounce back. They navigate by what returns to them. You navigate this way too. You put things out into the world and listen for how they're received. And that tells you where the walls are, where the openings are. Find our playlist when you need more. It's a collection of these peaceful moments, available whenever you return. Limestone caves form from slightly acidic water dissolving rock over thousands of years. The cave is the absence of rock, space created by what was worn away. Your spaces, your capacities, they're formed by what's been worn away from you too, by what dissolved. The emptiness is not nothing, it's room. Aspen leaves flutter in the slightest breeze because their stems are flat, not round. This makes them particularly sensitive to movement, particularly responsive. If you're particularly sensitive, particularly responsive to small things, that's not oversensitivity. That's how you're built, like the aspen designed to respond. Geysers erupt on schedule, regular as clockwork, because the underground chambers fill and heat at a predictable rate. What looks like chaos is actually pattern. Your patterns exist too, even when you can't see them. Track yourself long enough, and you'll see the regularity, the way certain things return on schedule. Thunder comes after lightning, because sound travels slower than light. The storm is one event, but you experience it in pieces, separated by time. Understanding comes after experience sometimes. The flash happens, and then later, the meaning arrives. That delay is natural. Honeycomb is made of hexagons because that shape uses the least wax while creating the most storage space. Bees do mathematics without knowing they're doing it. You optimize too without realizing it. Your choices, your ways of being, they're solving equations you didn't know existed. Frost forms in feathery patterns on windows because the ice crystals grow along tiny scratches in the glass, following paths of least resistance. Your growth follows paths too. You'll naturally grow along the lines where it's easiest, where something in you is already inclined. That's okay. That's normal. Cattails burst open in late summer, releasing thousands of seeds on fluffy down that floats on the wind. What was brown and solid becomes a cloud of possibility. What's been tightly held in you will release too when the time is right. And what seemed like one solid thing will become thousands of new possibilities. When rivers meet, they don't fight about which way to flow. They become one river flowing together in whatever direction the land determines. When different parts of your life converge, they'll find their direction too. They'll merge and flow, and you don't have to force the way. Redwoods can sprout new trees from their roots, especially after fire or logging. A circle of new trees grows around where the old tree was, all sharing the same root system. What seems ended in your life might sprout new versions, not the same, but connected, sharing roots with what came before. If you found even a moment of peace here, letting us know what the like helps others find this peace too. Just a thought. The ocean has layers, warmer water on top, colder water below, with a transition layer called the thermocline in between. Different temperatures, different densities, all in the same body of water. You contain layers too, surface and depth, what's warm and accessible, and what's cold and deep. You don't have to be one consistent temperature all the way through. Morning frost creates a white outline on every edge. Every blade of grass, every leaf, every twig gets its own line of ice. What's hard in your life outlines you too. It shows your edges, makes your shape visible, defines where you are in space. Birdsong carries farther in the morning because the air is still cool and dense. Sound travels better through cool air. The birds aren't singing louder. The air is cooperating. Your voice carries farther under certain conditions too. Not because you're trying harder, but because the conditions are right. Choose when to speak carefully. A fallen log in a forest becomes nurse log. It decays and provides nutrients and stability for new trees to grow on. Dead things feed new life. What's died in you is feeding what's trying to grow. What seems like just decay is actually providing exactly what's needed for the next thing. Clouds hold rain until they can't anymore, until the droplets get too heavy and fall. The release isn't failure. It's the cloud fulfilling its purpose. Your release, your crying, your letting go. That's not failure either. That's you fulfilling your purpose, letting fall what's become too heavy to hold. Stars twinkle because you're looking at them through miles of moving atmosphere. The star itself is steady. The shimmer is just air between you and it. When your peace seems unsteady, flickering, the peace itself might be steady. It's just the air between you and it that's moving. Earthworms are both male and female, containing both kinds of reproductive organs. They're complete in themselves, but still need another worm to mate. You're more complete than you think, more whole. And still, connection with others is what makes new life possible. Visit our playlist when you want more of this calm. It's growing all the time, like a garden we're tending together. Salt marshes flood with seawater at high tide and drain at low tide twice a day. And the grasses that grow there have adapted to this constant change. You can adapt to constant change too. You can be flexible enough to flood and drain, to be underwater and then exposed, and still grow. A stone worn smooth by a river is smaller than it used to be, but it's also more perfect, more itself. The excess has been worn away. You're being worn down to your essence too, to what's most true, most purely you. The excess will fall away. Spider webs are stronger than steel, pound for pound. Something so delicate it breaks at a touch is also incredibly strong in its own structure. Your delicate things have tensile strength you don't credit. Your sensitivity, your soft spots, they're stronger than they look. When you float on your back in water, you surrender to being held. You stop trying to stand, stop trying to swim. Just let the water hold you. Surrender to being held sometimes by the earth, by time, by the people who love you, by the simple fact that you're here and breathing. Pine cones can stay closed for years, waiting for the right conditions to open and release seeds. Patience is built into their structure. Your timing is built into you too. What hasn't happened yet is just waiting for the right conditions. You don't have to force it open. Rainbows are personal. Every person sees their own rainbow from their own perspective. The rainbow you see is not the rainbow the person next to you sees. Your healing is personal too. Your journey. Comparisons don't apply. You're seeing your own rainbow from where you stand. When mushrooms grow in a circle, it's called a fairy ring. They're all part of the same organism underground, the mycelium spreading outward in all directions equally. What appears separate in your life might be part of the same growth, the same underground spreading, different manifestations of one process. Wind chimes respond to air movement too subtle for you to feel. They're telling you about wind that's too gentle for your skin to detect. Your intuitions are like this, detecting movements too subtle for your conscious mind to notice. Trust them. A small gesture, a like on this video, helps create ripples. If you're feeling moved to, that would be lovely. Leaves change color in autumn because the tree is withdrawing resources, reabsorbing what it can before letting the leaf go. The brilliant colors are a side effect of reclamation. When you pull back from things, when you withdraw your energy, the colors this creates, the changes this makes visible, they're beautiful too. Coral bleaching happens when coral is stressed and expels its colorful algae. The white coral isn't dead yet, just vulnerable. If conditions improve, the algae can return. Your bleached times when you feel drained of color, you're not dead. You're stressed and vulnerable. If conditions improve, the color can return. Owls can rotate their heads 270 degrees because they can't move their eyes in their sockets. What looks like extreme flexibility is actually compensation for limitation. Your adaptations, your workarounds, they give you capabilities that look like superpowers. What you've done to compensate has made you uniquely capable. Fog bows are like rainbows, but made by fog droplets instead of rain. They're white or faintly colored, ghostly and subtle. Not all your beauty is vivid. Some of it is subtle, ghostly, easy to miss, but it's there. A compass needle always points north, pulled by the Earth's magnetic field. It doesn't choose. It responds to something vast and invisible. You're pulled by things vast and invisible too, toward home, toward healing, toward what you need. You're not lost. You're just finding north. Sand dunes sing in some deserts. The sliding sand creates a low-frequency hum. The desert is making music just by being itself, by moving slightly. You're making music too, just by being yourself, by moving through your days. You don't have to try to sing. You're already singing. Ice floats because it's less dense than water. And this simple fact keeps lakes from freezing solid in winter, keeps fish alive below the surface. Your lightness, your less dense times, they might be protecting something deeper. What feels like you're not all there might be what's keeping your depths alive. Our playlist is always here. More stories like this one, more gentle facts, more moments to breathe into. Ferns reproduce by spores instead of seeds, tiny dust-like particles released into the air by the millions. Most will never become ferns, but a few will land somewhere perfect. Your efforts are like spores too. You're releasing millions of small attempts into the world. Most won't take root, but a few will land somewhere perfect and grow. Wood ducks nest in tree cavities high off the ground. When the ducklings hatch, they jump, a leap of faith onto land or water far below. They're so light, they bounce. When you take your leaps, you might bounce too. You might be lighter than you think, more resilient to impact. Heat lightning is just regular lightning too far away for you to hear the thunder. You see the flash, but the sound doesn't reach you. Some events in your life are like this. You see them happening, but you're far enough away that they don't shake you. That distance is okay. That's safety. Each year's tree ring is made of two parts: fast spring growth, light, and slow summer growth, dark. The good times and the slow times both make the ring. Your growth includes both kinds of times too, the quick progress and the slow consolidation. Both are necessary. Moss can dry out completely, seem dead, and then come back to life when water returns. It can revive after years of dormancy. Parts of you can come back to life too. What seems gone, what dried up and turned brown, water might revive it. Time and the right conditions might bring it back. Tidal estuaries are where river meets ocean, fresh water mixing with salt water. Neither one dominates. They create a third thing, brackish water, where unique life thrives. Where different parts of your life meet, they create a third thing too. Hybrid spaces where you're not entirely one thing or the other, and that's where unique growth happens. Light takes 8 minutes to travel from the sun to Earth. When you feel sunlight on your face, it's 8 minutes old, but new to your skin. Everything reaches you delayed. What you're experiencing now started earlier. Be patient with yourself for not responding instantly to changes. You're experiencing them when they arrive at you. Hummingbirds remember every flower they visited and how long ago, so they know when the nectar has replenished. They have maps in their minds of their territory. You have maps too. You remember what hurt you and where. This isn't paranoia. This is wisdom. This is your internal map keeping you informed. A small comment from you could help someone else feel less alone. If you'd like to share anything, we'd love to hear from you. Icicles melt from the inside first when the sun shines on them. The outside stays frozen while the inside becomes hollow, becomes water running down the center. You might be melting from the inside too. The outer structure might look the same, but inside, things are flowing again, moving, changing state. When you stand in a forest, you're breathing what the trees exhale, oxygen, and they're breathing what you exhale, carbon dioxide. It's an exchange, a conversation of breath. Your presence in the world is part of an exchange too. You're not just taking, you're giving something essential, something others need, even if it's invisible. Granite contains quartz, feldspar, and mica, different minerals that crystallize together as magma cooled. What looks like one thing is actually a combination, each mineral keeping its identity while forming one stone. You're made of different parts too, different aspects that haven't merged into one smooth identity. That's okay. That's what makes you granite instead of glass. Water seeks its own level. In connected containers, it rises to the same height in each one. It finds equilibrium. You'll find your level too. You'll settle where you fit, rise to the height that matches your pressure, your conditions. Trust this seeking. Pearls can take years to form, layer upon layer of nacre coating the irritant. The oyster doesn't speed up the process. It just keeps coating day after day. Your slow accumulation of wisdom, of healing, it's forming something valuable. You don't have to speed it up. Just keep adding layers. The moon pulls the tides through invisible gravitational force. You can't see what's pulling the water, but you can see the effect. The ocean rising and falling twice a day. Invisible forces are pulling at you too. You can't always see what's drawing you somewhere, but you can see the effect. Trust the pull. When light hits a prism at the right angle, it refracts, bends, separating into colors. The wrong angle, it just passes through. Angle matters. How you're positioned matters too. The same experience hitting you at a different angle in your life might refract differently, reveal different colors. Every video in our playlist is a different angle on peace. Explore and see which one refracts your light just right. Clouds form because warm air rises and cool air can't hold as much water vapor, so the vapor condenses into visible droplets. Your tears form this way too. What you've been holding heats up, rises up, and then can't be held anymore. And they fall. And that's natural. Glaciers are blue because dense ice absorbs every color except blue. The compression is so complete that only one color survives. What survives your compression is your essence. What remains after everything else is pressed out. That's your blue, your truest color. Lightning never strikes the same place twice is actually false. Lightning loves tall objects and will strike them over and over. The Empire State Building gets struck dozens of times each year. Your struggles might return to the same place too, the place that stands tallest, that's most exposed. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. You're just tall. Sand, over enough time and pressure, becomes sandstone. Individual grains cement together, becoming solid rock. Your experiences are cementing too, becoming solid ground beneath you. What was loose and shifting is becoming stone you can build on. Cedar trees can live over 1,000 years. A seedling that sprouted when medieval castles were being built could still be alive today, still green, still growing. Your healing can last too. What starts now can keep going, keep growing, long into a future you can't imagine. The timeline is longer than your worry. And now, as we come to rest together, I want you to know something. You've been breathing this whole time. Your heart has been beating. Your body has been doing its work without you having to manage every detail. The earth is still holding you. The air is still entering your lungs. The same forces that create forests and rivers and mountains. Those forces are in you too. You are nature. You are therapy for yourself just by being alive, just by allowing the natural processes to continue. Close your eyes if they're not already closed. Feel how your body rests against whatever is holding it. Notice you're warm. Notice you're here. The healing doesn't require force. It's already happening, gentle and constant as moss growing, as stones smoothing, as seasons turning. You can rest now. The world will keep spinning. The moon will pull the tides. The trees will keep breathing, and so will you. Good night.